An immigration consultant can fill your forms, but cannot represent you in the Federal Court of Canada. A lawyer can appeal for you and fight for you. Canada is made up of many provinces and territories. Wherever you want to go in Canada for studies, for work, or simply to immigrate, you have to obtain a visa from the federal government. The federal government has sole jurisdiction to issue visas to people who want to immigrate to Canada. However, there are provinces that have the right to nominate their own type of immigrants and who wants to immigrate to their province. Quebec is one of the largest provinces of Canada, has the oldest agreement with the federal government to select its own immigrants, and it has its own set of criteria. Each province now has developed its own program, and these programs are called Provincial Nominee Programs. Everyone knows and refers to them as PNP programs. A good number of years ago, many provinces in Canada have seen the benefit of those programs and have taken a leaf out of Quebec's book and designed and implemented their own provincial nominee programs. Manitoba, for instance, has been very, very successful in attracting people to that province through its own provincial nominee program. It's very popular around across the land now, from BC to PEI, Newfoundland to Ontario to Alberta. Each province has come up with its own flair of provincial nominee program. Most of them you will need an employer who's willing to hire you. In Alberta, for instance, one of the most successful in recent months in attracting skilled workers, you have to have employers. Manitoba has been the leader in attracting people to that province through its provincial nominee program. Quebec's PNP is designed to attract people who have been, who are francophones, French-speaking, who have studied in French, somehow have some connection to the French language. But if you want to immigrate to Quebec as a business person under one of the business immigration programs, you don't have to have language ability. All provinces have the ability to select skilled workers and people who want to immigrate as business people, and they have designed different streams, skilled worker immigration, business immigration, family immigration. Saskatchewan, for instance, has a very, very interesting program these days where if you have resided as an immigrant in that province for a year, you can sponsor a close family member who is overseas. That family member has to meet certain criteria. Nevertheless, it's a very attractive option, and many, many people are now opting for the Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program, SINP. Basically what happens is each province has the ability to select based on their own regional requirements and criteria set by themselves, and then they will nominate a particular person to work or immigrate to Canada under their programs. Once they nominate you, you then get the final visa from the federal government at the Canadian Embassy overseas after you clear police and medical checks. As I said, the future of immigration is, in my opinion, the PNP programs, because it is employer-led. You have to have an employer who's willing to hire you, and that will solve the problem of having immigrants come to Canada and don't have instant jobs in their area of expertise. The most interesting recent development in PNP immigration is the willingness by provinces to select or nominate low-skilled workers. BC, for instance, recently announced that if a truck driver works for a truck driving for an employer in BC for 9 months, that truck driver will become eligible to apply for immigration through that province's nominee program. Same thing applies in Saskatchewan. Many provinces are now coming up with schemes where you come to Canada, you're working for someone, you come in as a foreign worker. Once you have fulfilled certain requirements, whether it's 6 months, whether it's 9 months, then you're eligible to apply for immigration. Big advantage of coming to Canada under the PNP program as opposed to the federal skilled worker program is you are exempted from showing the large amount of settlement funds that one has to bring in when one immigrates as a federal skilled worker. You are also exempted from taking the language test that a lot of people find quite a major obstacle, because for the federal program you have to take language tests to prove your fluency in the English or French languages. What we've seen in recent months in British Columbia, for instance, is a lot of employers have been very frustrated in trying to get labour market opinions through HRSDC. So we've been advising all our clients, if they meet all the criteria set out by the BC government for its own provincial nominee program, they should go the PNP route. Essentially, an employer should have been in business for a few years and have to have employed 5 people. You'll have to show payroll documents to prove that you have had employees, and then if the job offered matches the skills of that worker, then it's best to bring that worker from overseas under the BC PNP program, currently taking 10 to 12 weeks, and it's the most interesting. And once you get nominated by the province, you get a work permit to come to Canada, start working while your federal immigration is being processed overseas at an embassy. So in our opinion, that's most useful for employers and best option for people who want to immigrate to Canada faster. There are also various business immigration programs that are very, very interesting in British Columbia. You can start with $125,000. $200,000 investment will get you immigration to British Columbia through the BC business programs, but more details at some other time. And if you need more detail, always talk to a qualified lawyer in Canada who can help you and who can keep you away from being victim to bad advice.